Let me guess. You didn't wake up on January 1st with a crystal clear ball full of goals, a color coded plan, and total confidence about the year ahead. And if you're being totally honest, the way AI keeps changing everything, it might be making you wonder if setting goals even makes sense anymore. If that's you, this episode is exactly where you're supposed to be, because today we're talking about why goals still matter and how to set them in a way that actually works right now. How to stick with them even when everything around you keeps shifting. Welcome to Rocky Mountain Marketing. I'm your host, Katie Brinkley. Join us as we dive deep with the world's leading digital marketing experts every single Tuesday. It's all about giving you the strategies that are working right now, directly from those who are making an impact. With my 20 years of experience, I'm here to help you navigate the world of digital marketing. Whether you're looking to sharpen your skills or transform your business, you're in the right place. Let's get started on today's journey to success. Welcome back to this week's episode of Rocky Mountain Marketing. And if you're listening right now, we are officially in 2026. The confetti's gone, though. The inbox is probably already filling back up again, and real life has probably kicked in. And honestly, I feel like when this episode is airing, that's when really it's like not acceptable to still be thinking about, Christmas cookies and all the holidays. And it's like, well, you got to get back to work. And this episode right after the New Year's, it always feels like we're kind of scrambling to get back into the swing of things. And today, January 6th, when this episode is airing, I feel the pressure has probably started to kick in, right? The quiet feeling, okay, I probably should have my year figured out by now. Maybe I have not done my goal setting. It's too late. Well, don't worry. It can feel like you're behind, but you're not. So I want to start by saying this very clearly. You're not behind. You're right on time. And this is the first episode of Rocky Mountain Marketing for 2026. And I wanted it to be one that actually meets you where you are, because I know things right now are not simple. Things are constantly changing. Algorithms are changing. AI is changing everything. What does 2026 look like? And things aren't simple, right? They're not. And so AI is changing how we're running our business. It's changing how we are creating content, changing how we market, how fast things move. And if you're an entrepreneur, a creator, a business owner, probably a good chance you've already had at least one moment this year, we're only 6 days in, where you've thought, ugh, do goals even matter anymore when everything keeps changing? And if that thought has crossed your mind, you're not wrong for thinking it. I do think it is worth talking about what goal setting actually looks like now and why it matters more than ever. And that's what today's episode is about. So I want to start with something I've been noticing more and more in conversations with business owners. People, they're not afraid of goals. They're afraid of committing to the wrong ones, because when things feel uncertain, staying vague feels way safer. Not writing the things down, not saying things out loud, not choosing a direction you might have to change later. And trust me, I totally get it. For the first 5 years of my business, I did not set any goals because I didn't want to let myself down. Having that flexibility mattered, but there's a difference between being flexible and being unanchored. And a lot of people right now are unanchored. They're doing a lot. They're trying things, testing new tools, posting content. But if you asked them what they're actually working towards 2026, they might struggle with an answer. And it's not because they're not motivated. That's not the problem. The problem is clarity. So I want to share something personal with you, because everything I'm talking about today isn't theoretical for me. I've been in business long enough to have multiple quote unquote eras. Yes, both my girls are Swifties. And so, we'll talk about the Katie Brinkley eras tour, because I've had different goals, different seasons, and different versions of myself. And one thing that has stayed consistent through all of this is writing my goals down. Like I said, it took me 5 years to start writing down my goals. Once I started, everything in my business changed. Writing these goals down, even when I didn't know if I would hit them, even when I was scared to admit what I really wanted, even when things felt extremely uncertain, should I even be doing this anymore? I still remember some of the very first goals I wrote down when I started writing my goals down. They weren't flashy. They weren't about scaling to X amount of your annual revenue. It wasn't about becoming a thought leader or writing a book. They were things like, I want clients who will respect my time. I want to make enough money where I don't feel constantly stressed. I want to prove to myself that I can do this. And at those times, those goals felt huge. Honestly, now saying them out loud, it feels a little embarrassing, but I wrote them down anyways. Fast forward, now it's 2026, and I remember going back through my planner, my old notebook, and I wasn't looking for inspiration. I actually think that going back and looking at what your old goals were and some of the things that you were striving for years ago is the inspiration. I was having one of those moments where things felt heavy. Okay. And too many decisions were having to be made. Too many opinions were coming in, too much noise. And I stumbled across those old goals and I sat there for just a minute because not only had I achieved those goals, I'd moved so far past them that I forgot how hard they once felt. In that moment, it didn't make me complacent. It really grounded me. It reminded me that growth doesn't always feel like growth when you're in it. And I'll be honest, I've also written goals that I haven't hit, goals that took way longer than expected, goals that changed shape entirely. And here's the part that matters. Those goals weren't wasted. They still pointed me in the right direction. They still influenced the decisions that I made. They still helped me to say no to things that didn't fit. And that's something I think that we forget. A goal doesn't have to be perfectly executed for it to be useful. When AI started becoming more mainstream, I noticed something different, something interesting about my own reaction. Part of me was excited, part of me was overwhelmed, and honestly, part of me was scared because suddenly there were 1,000 new things to do, new tools, new shortcuts, new opinions about what marketing should look like now. And I caught myself thinking, gosh, do I need to change my goals? Do I need to scrap everything and start over? And the answer was no. What I needed to do was change how I executed, not what I was working towards. And I only knew that because my goals were written down. That's the part I want to really drive home. When everything is changing, your written goals become a reference point. They remind you why you're doing what you're doing. They help you filter through the advice because there's a lot of advice out there. They will help you avoid pivoting just because someone louder told you to. Without that anchor, it's really easy to let tools and trends start running your business. And I don't want that for you. I've worked with so many business owners who tell me that they feel scattered, they feel behind, they feel like they're constantly in reactive mode instead of proactive mode. And almost every time when we slow down and talk it through, it comes back to this. They never decided what they actually wanted the year to be about. So everything feels urgent. Everything feels important. Everything feels like they might be missing something. And that's exhausting. But the good news is that's avoidable. So writing your goals down doesn't lock you in. It gives you a place to come back to. It gives you context when things change. It gives you proof later on that you didn't just survive another year, you built something. That's why I still do it even now, especially now. Let's talk about how to set goals that actually make sense right now, because the old approach of setting a rigid 12-month, never touching it again, that doesn't work anymore. Instead, I want you to think about goals as directional, not perfect, not final, directional. So first, these direction goals, these answer one simple question. Where do I want this year to move me? Not how fast, not every step, just where am I going? And that might sound like I want my marketing to rely less on daily posting and more on content that lasts. Or I want my business to generate leads without me constantly being online. I want to be known for one thing instead of trying to do everything. Those type of goals don't fall apart when things change. They help guide your decisions. Next, there are the marketing goals. I am a marketer at heart. So, there are marketing goals, but these should connect to trust, visibility, and sales. Not the likes, not the vanity metrics, real outcomes. Things like committing to a podcast or a YouTube channel for the year. This podcast here, I committed to it back in April of 2020, and I have not missed a week since. I made the commitment to it, and it's one of the most dedicated parts of my business. So I make that commitment to something. The podcast has been incredible for my business. It allows me to take this one piece of content and turn it into multiple strategic assets instead of starting from scratch every single week. Maybe for you, it's creating a system that supports consistency without burnout. AI, it can help you with these goals, but the goal has to exist first. There's one more piece that a lot of people skip, and those are the behavior goals. These are the habits that keep your goals from disappearing by March because the motivation, sadly, it will fade. And that's normal. Behavior goals sound like I will review my goals once a month. That's a very easy goal. I will pause before adopting a new tool and ask if it supports what I'm building. Or maybe a behavior goal for you could be I will measure success by conversations and conversions, not just engagement. Those aren't the flashiest goals. It's not going to, it's not going to go viral on Facebook by creating a post and saying, I did my 2026 goals and one of them is to review my goals once a month. Let's be honest, it's not the sexiest goal, but they're the reason that everything else works. I like to say that, 3 years ago, I chose a word for the year and the word for the year was intention. And honestly, that is my word again for 2026 is intention. It's was such a core factor for helping me achieve my goals. Before I took action on anything, I slowed down and asked what the intention was behind it. Why am I speaking at this event? Why do I want to write another book? Just slowing down helped me really think about if it was going to help me achieve that bigger goal. And I think that that's one of the hardest part is sticking with your goals, right? Because that is where people struggle, not because they don't care, but because they expect clarity to always feel exciting. And it's really exciting to think of those new goals and think about the possibilities. But once you start working on them and, obviously we all want things to happen like this. Yeah, I want to go ahead and, text my revenue, whatever. It's exciting to say those out loud. But then when you're putting in the work and you're waiting for the results to come, that's where people start failing because it's not happening fast enough. There will be weeks where nothing seems to move, months where you question whether you picked the right direction. And that doesn't mean that you failed. It means that you're in it. Instead of asking, am I still excited about this? Ask yourself, is this still aligned with the business I want to run? Is it helping me make better decisions when things are getting noisy? Is it moving me closer to the work I want to actually be doing? Those are the questions that will keep you grounded. Changing how you do something does not mean that your goal was wrong. Adjusting your approach does not mean that you failed. AI, that was one of my top words for 2025. Thank you, Riverside, for putting that compilation together. AI, it will force change. These platforms, man, they're evolving every single day. But I want you to keep in mind that your goals aren't handcuffs. They are your compass. I want to bring this back to marketing as we wrap up. The businesses that will grow this year are not the ones that are doing the most. They're the ones that are doing the right things consistently. They know who they're talking to. They know what they're building towards, and they know how their marketing supports that. They use AI as a tool, not a crutch. And I want to sit with that for just a minute. Because if marketing feels harder than it used to, it's not because you're bad at it. It's because there are too many options. Every day there's a new platform feature, a new AI tool, a new "you have to do this now" headline, a new algorithm shift. And without clear goals, everything sounds important. Everything feels urgent. Everything can feel defeating. So instead of feeling empowered, you feel left behind. And that's not a skill issue. That's a filtering issue. I see this all the time with business owners who come to me feeling frustrated. They're posting consistently. They're trying new things. They're using AI, but they say things to me like, "I feel like I'm doing everything and nothing is working. Nobody engages with our posts. My email list isn't growing." And when we unpack it, the problem isn't effort. It's direction. They don't know what success actually looks like for them this year. They're just chasing signals instead of building momentum. So let's just talk about this in real life, because this is where goals stop being motivational and start being practical. If your goal this year is to generate more inbound leads, always want more revenue, right? Then every marketing decision gets simpler. I'll say this again for the people in the back. You don't need to be on every platform. You need to be where conversations happen. If you're posting and not getting engagement, you need to adjust how you are showing up. You need to start asking better questions like, does this piece of content lead somewhere? Does it invite someone to take the next step? Is this building trust, or is this just filling space? Without that goal, it's really easy to post just to post. Just, okay, check the box, done. I posted today. If your goal is to work less while still growing, then your marketing has to change. You can't rely on content strategy from 2024. You need to think of your social media, of your organic marketing as something that keeps working even when you're offline. So the longer form content, having the podcast, the YouTube channel, the LinkedIn newsletter, the blog posts, that longer content. You want to have searchable content. What are people searching for? What are people talking about? How can you show up as the answer? Assets that you can reuse. And AI becomes incredibly useful here. It's not to replace your voice, but to support your consistency without burning you out. One of the biggest traps I see right now is people setting goals based on what feels impressive instead of what actually fits their business. They'll say things like, "I want to start a YouTube channel. I should, be on TikTok, and I'm going to start using AI more." But then when I ask why, so why do you want a YouTube channel? There's really not a clear answer. Goals should make your marketing easier to decide, not harder. And here's something else I want to say out loud. You don't need more ideas. You need fewer priorities. AI is amazing at generating options, but it is terrible at telling you which ones to ignore. That is your job. You are the decision maker. Goals give you permission to ignore a lot of the fluff that you might get from AI. Without having a clear goal, marketing starts to feel personal. Every post that doesn't perform feels like a failure. Every new tool feels like something you're missing. Every piece of advice feels like judgment, and that's exhausting, and it will lead you to burnout. Goals create emotional distance. They remind you that not everything is meant for you, and that is freeing. Like I said before, my goal for 2026, again, is intention. It allows me that emotional distance before saying yes. And, I've had this opportunity. Well, why do I want this opportunity? How does that help me and the company achieve these goals? And I want to share something that I tell my clients all the time. Not everything that works is meant to work for you. Okay? Not everything that works is meant to work for you, because this is where a lot of people get that imposter syndrome. No, well, I'm doing all the things right, but no, nothing happened. And instead of asking, well, what does this do for me and my goals? They're asking, well, why isn't this working for me? And those are two very different questions. Goals protect your time. And when you know what you're working towards, it's much easier to say no, not to say no to the platforms that drain you, no to the content that's not converting, no to the trends that don't align. And in a year where everything is moving so fast, protecting your time is a strategy. All right, as we start wrapping up today's episode, I want to talk about sticking to your goals when the doubt creeps in, because it will. We all deal with imposter syndrome. There will be a moment when you look around and think, everyone else seems to be further ahead than me. And that right there is why your goals are going to matter, because comparison disappears when your path is clear. You stop asking, am I doing enough? And start asking, am I doing what matters? You don't need to have everything figured out this year. You just need to know what you're building toward. Clarity doesn't come from certainty. It comes from commitment. So I want to leave you with a different way to think about your goals. Goals aren't about protecting the future. They're about giving you and yourself direction in the present. Goals don't remove uncertainty. They give you something to return to when things get noisy. And 2026, this year is sure to get noisy. And if you're feeling behind already, that doesn't mean that you failed. It means that you care. And that is a great place to start. One thing I want to leave you with is 1 year from now, when you look back, do you want to say you stayed busy? Or do you want to say you built something on purpose? And that choice starts right now. If you want help with your marketing strategy, with your goal setting this year, reach out to me. I'd love to help you. We have our strategic intensive VIP day where we sit down and develop your entire 12-month marketing strategy so that you have clarity and you can remain consistent for the full year. You can check it out on our website. Link is in the show notes, nextstepsocial.com. Check it out there, book a strategy session with us, and we would love to help you get clear with what your goals are in 2026 and beyond. Thanks so much for listening to this week's episode of Rocky Mountain Marketing. I hope you're leaving with valuable insights and the inspiration to lead your market. If you've enjoyed our time together and found today's podcast episode useful, I have a small favor to ask of you. Please hit that subscribe button to stay updated with the latest episodes. And if you know someone who could benefit from these episodes, maybe a fellow business leader or an aspiring entrepreneur, go ahead and share this episode with them. Let's spread the knowledge and grow together. Also, I'd love to hear from you and continue the conversation beyond the podcast. Visit me at katiebrinkley.com to connect, to find more resources, or just to share your journey. And be sure to pick up your copy of my new book, The Social Shift, at katiebrinkley.com/book. Thanks again for tuning in. I'm Katie Brinkley, and I can't wait to dive into more strategies and stories with you on the next episode of Rocky Mountain Marketing. Let's keep on taking your marketing to new heights.